All right, good day, class. Once again, my name is Bilo Adewale, and we are going to be looking at business policy today, post 411, our module 3, and we are going to be looking at the business ethics and its application in business and how it relates to policy. So, part of the study objective and the content of this module is that we must be able, at the end of the course or at the end of the content, to understand the concept of business ethics, to also be able to understand the types and the forms of business ethics and the various business ethics perspective, and as well the sources of ethical views, code of ethics, and concept of utilitarianism, and also understanding the unethical business practices and the various way out in business. Straight, what is business ethics? In the business world, business ethics exerts significant level of influence, and certainly it does not only change how business are being operated on a day-to-day basis, but also it influences the legislation around the various corporate governance and regulation of a business. Business ethics basically is the study of appropriate business policies and practices regarding the various controversial subjects, including corporate governance, insider training, bribery, discrimination, corporate social responsibility, and fiduciary responsibility. What I mean is that it is ideal that an organization setups or understand what their corporate governance is all about, how the business is being run, how the business is being controlled, and how the business is being managed. Also, it is ideal that an organization understands the importance of corporate social responsibility and what is the responsibility of the company to the various stakeholders in an organization, both the shareholders, both the management, the board of directors, the customers, the employees, the suppliers, and the government and the society. It is ideal that organization understand this. However, business ethics is now the appropriateness of these policies, appropriateness of these practices. Doing these practices in the right manner, in the most appropriate manner, is the concept of business ethics. Of course, it is embodied by law in some instances, like for instance, business ethics in a particular industry or in a particular organization can be guided by the discretion of the law, by the submissions of the law. Of course, like for instance, we have the minimum wage legislation, which guides businesses on how much they should pay an employee within a month, how much you shouldn't pay below. So, in view of that, it could be embodied by law, and it also could be internally arranged as far as appropriateness of business policies are concerned. Why are business ethics important? What is the importance of business policy? Of course, it increases awareness of the various stakeholders as it relates to environmental, as it relates to social and government issues, and it improves the reputation of an organization. For instance, let's take an instance of unethical practices in an organizational context, in a situation whereby a customer privacy, procedure and protections are protected. It would result in a data breach if it is not protected properly. Of course, it is the responsibility of an organization to ensure that the breach and the customer privacy is not jeopardized, and because of course this might in turn lead to loss of customers. It might in turn lead to erosion of trust, less competitive hires, and it might actually decrease the share price of an organization. So it is then important that organizations are aware of appropriateness of business decision, appropriateness of their corporate governance, appropriateness of their environmental factors, and both internal and internal, in an attempt to ensure that their trust are being built. So this is what our business ethics school help organization achieve. Of course, it will help them understand what is happening in their environment, and it also furthermore would improve the image of an organization. Branches of business ethics. What are the various branches of business ethics? We have the descriptive ethics and we have the normative ethics. When we mean descriptive ethics, what do we understand by descriptive ethics? It means that it is looking at describing how people behave and what sort of moral standards they claim to follow. It incorporates research from the field of anthropology, psychology, sociology, history as part of the process of understanding what people do on what they have believed about the norms or what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. Descriptive ethics is a form of ethics that looks at history. It looks at anthropology. It looks at what do people do. It looks at what is obtainable in the legal sector. It looks at what is obtainable in the police reforms. It looks at what is obtainable in an organizational proceeding. So it is looking at the historical pattern of behavior, the historical pattern of what is appropriate in an organization or in a particular industry. That is what descriptive ethics is looking at. Now, when we look at normative is now looking at the evaluation, creation and evaluation of these standards. When we say descriptive, it is describing what is ethics. It is describing what is ethical in a particular industry based on historical pattern, based on the research that has already been set, based on the policies of organizations, of the industry. It is looking at describing it. Why normative is looking at, trying to change from the traditional view, trying to look at trying to evaluate what is right, what is appropriate in an organization, evaluating these standards in an attempt to ensure that what people should do and what people should not do is in line, with the current aspirations of an organization, and as well what is obtainable in the present contemporary environment. What are the various forms of business ethics? Continue here, where we are looking at the analytics. The analytics usually is looking at the mathematical view. Perhaps is one of the most difficult among the three. We have as we say, we have the descriptive, we have the normative. The analytic ethics is looking at there are no moral standards that are independent of our social groups. It's looking at whatever a social group decide that is right, and when they decide it is wrong, it is wrong. So this particular analytics is looking at ethics from a social group point of view, from a management point of view, from an industrial point of view. For instance, if a management has decided that in an organization this should not be our standard, then it shouldn't be a standard. They believe that there's no social group whatsoever that is ahead of the social group. There's no opinion, rather there's no moral standards that is independent of our social groups. In view of that, they believe that whenever a social group decide that this is right, then it has to be right, and then when they decide it is wrong, then it is wrong. Now, morality and ethical conflicts. We are looking at the issue of morality and the ethical conflicts that could come for it. We have already understand that morals and ethics are looking at how people decide what to do based on the judgment of what is wrong and what is right. These are often used interchangeably, no doubt. But what we are trying to say now is that when morality and ethical conflict comes up or comes to play, what is the responsibility of management? What do we understand by moral and ethical conflict? Of course, take for instance a situation where an organization has a branch, a strategic business unit, not making so much profit, and the organization has decided to close down that business. Closing down that business, of course, has its own negative effect on the employees, on the employment of the people who are working for that organization. It has a negative effect on the people who are customers and suppliers of that business. It has a negative effect on the community, on the society that the organization exists. So what we are trying to say in a nutshell is that in view of that, the organization is looking at what is best for them by way of shutting down an organization, by way of shutting down a strategic business unit. Whereas looking at the negative impact to the society, it is also immense, because people are going to lose their jobs, because the community are no longer going to benefit from the responsibility in which the business or that particular strategic business unit is looking at providing to the society. So what we are looking at now is that there's a conflict in this situation. So in view of that, these are situations where we see morality and ethical conflict. These are issues, these are areas where we can say there's conflict between what is right and what is ethical and what is obtainable in the business world. Now, the traditional and the expansive perspective of ethics. The traditional view of ethics rested their submission on the provision of the law of the land, and they believe the company should abide by the law, and they usually overlook and undermine the occurrence of ethical lapses. Why? Because they believe they occur less frequently, and as far as the company is obeying the law of the land, as far as the company is obeying the discretion and the submission of the law, they believe they believe the company in this regard are ethical. This is what we mean by the traditional view of ethics. On the other hand, when we are looking at the expansive view, they look at the ethical consideration into the management decision. They necessarily does not look at it from the perspective of the law. The traditional view of ethics, they rest their submission on the various provisions of the law that are obtainable within a society. Say for instance, the minimum wage legislation. So if there's a minimum wage legislation, the company believes that we are just supposed to follow that and we are ethical. We are supposed to follow the law of the land, and that is okay. They believe that ethical lapses occur less frequently, and as such, the company should not pay so much attention to that. And in view of this, the company should just obey the law of the land, and they become ethical. On the other hand, the expansive view is looking at the awareness of management in ensuring that all organizational activities, all organizational decisions are followed in the most ethical manner, in the most appropriate manner. This actually is what we understand as institutionalization of ethics in strategic management. Why? Because in the corporate strategy, from the top to the bottom of the pyramid of management, they put in ethical consideration in all area of decision making, as far as organizational goals and missions and vision and objectives are concerned. What are the various principles of ethics? There are about 14 principles of ethics as stated here. We have principle of humanity, we have principle of conscience. Of course, when we say principle of humanity, our ethical views, when we say principle, how humane is it to people? How obtainable, how friendly is it to humanity? It must be considered when we are saying this decision is right or this decision is wrong. There must be some principle of humanity here. There must also be some principle of conscience. Conscience in the sense that when we say conscience, we mean deep down in ourselves. It is like, for instance, the concept of golden rule: do unto others what you like them to do to you. So the principle of conscience is in here as part of the principle of ethics. Of course, principles of wishless work, principles of esprit, great motive in an attempt. Whenever we are doing any task, whenever an organizational activities is being carried out, it must be carried out with the great motive of positivity, not necessarily to be done in a way that oversights or that overshadows the intention or the benefits of the entire group. So this actually looks at not trying to individualize, not allowing the individual opinion or individual motive to overshadow the greater motive of the organization. Furthermore, the principle of publicity, the principle of universal values. Our values, principle of ethics also look at values must be universal. We must try to see what is ethical within the universal acceptability or acceptance. We must look at the acceptance of our values, the acceptance of our activities as far as universal values are concerned. Also, principle of commitment, principle of rationality. There must be some level of rationality. Ethical conduct are expected to be rational. Ethical conduct are expected to be positive. Ethical views are expected to be communicated. There must be some level of communicability in our ethical practice. Principle of transparency, it must be transparent. There must be some level of accountability within that system. Also, principle of cooperation with others, principle of reputation and morale, commitment of excellence, and then principle of satisfaction. Furthermore, what are the various views of ethics? There are four major views of ethics. Four major views of ethics. One is utilitarianism. When we say utilitarianism, it's looking at what is right and what is wrong by focusing on the outcomes of what is going to bring greater good to the various stakeholders. It looks at if something is going to bring the greater goods to the various stakeholders, then it is ethical. This is one of the major ethical views. It determines what is right from what is wrong by focusing on outcomes, by focusing on what is the greater good to the people. Does it provide the greatest good to the greatest number of people? It is the only moral framework that can be used to justify military force or war. Sometimes, what is the benefit? It looks at the cost benefit analysis. What is the cost of this particular action to the people, to the stakeholder of the business? What is the cost of this activity of this action or of this decision to the supplier, for instance, to the government, for instance, to the shareholders, for instance, to the management, to the employees, and to the community and the society. So when we look at what is going to cost and we look at what is the benefit to all the stakeholders, then we can say if the cost outweighs the benefit, it is not ethical. If we can say the benefit outweighs the cost, then we can say this particular activity or this particular decision is ethical, as the case may be, based on the view of utilitarianism. Now, another view is the justice view. The justice view is a theory that rests ethics on the critical is critical to mistreatment and injustice treatment of persons, especially in organization. We believe that among the group of people, everybody must be treated with some level of fairness, with some level of just. There must be some level of just treatment and fair treatment for all persons without discrimination. This is the justice view. Provided an activity is carried out without an intention to segregate people, without an intention to isolate some people, without an impression to create some unfair treatment or unfair compensation among people within an organization, the justice view believes that an organization is ethical, and those kind of activities or decisions are ethical as the case may be. In organizations, for instance, the ethical approach holds that justice may be in the form of distributive justice, retributive justice, or even compensatory justice. So when we say distributive justice entails equal distribution of benefits and burdens among the various stakeholders in an organization, the employees, the shareholders, and also the external world, the customers and the supplier. It entails equal distribution of benefits and burden. That is why we say the justice view of ethics looks at number one, utilitarianism, look at justice, and under justice we have what we call distributive justice. Distributive justice by ensuring that everybody are treated fairly, everybody are treated equally, everybody are treated equitably. So we are looking at distributive justice, which entails equal distribution of benefits and burden. Retributive justice, on the other hand, is looking at receiving punishment and corrections in an attempt to ensure that people in an organization act in the right manner. While compensatory justice looking at ensuring some level of amelioration or some level of insurance or some level of compensation for people who have been treated unjustly, who have been treated not right. So it's looking at ensuring that compensatory benefit for the risk or for the loss or they have suffered as a result of an activity or as a result of a decision that is made in an organization. Furthermore, there's also the rights view. The rights view is based on the position of justice and rights. It considers moral leadership as that which entails just treatment and respect towards individual rights. So this view, under the various views that we have assessed, this view is looking at the rights of people, the fundamental human rights of people in an organization. It's looking at, ensuring that the fundamental human rights of people are actually not violated. It rests its theory upon the notion that all individuals possesses the right towards life, and thus they should be treated fairly and with some level of dignity and respect. So organization and their leadership should thus uphold the required business ethical principles that consider human rights as part of their core ideologies and business foundation. This is the view of ethics under here. And furthermore, there are four major rights or under this rights view. Number one is privilege, the other one is claims, the other one is power, and the other one is humanity, which are bestowed on individuals with highest respect and dignity required. When we mean privileges, what do we mean privileges? Privileges involves the individual autonomy and diplomacy towards actions against themselves. Claims, on the other hand, is looking at the right of individual to enjoy protection against any form of harm or paternalism. For instance, an employee should be free from exploitation or corporate punishment imposed on his or her payment. There must be some level of sincere evaluation. There must be some level of sincere assessment of anything whatsoever within an organization as it relates to the rights, as it relates to what is due to an employee or to a stakeholder in an organization. Of course, power in its own in rights means the ability within a set of rules to alter the normative situation for oneself or another. Immunity is the right over individual normative situation. Now, the other view of ethics that we have seen here is called the golden rule. The golden rule, which is also known as the moral absolutism. Moral absolutism is an ethical belief that views specific actions as entirely wrong or right regardless of the outcome. Is looking at what is when we say golden rule is a rule that states like we should do to people what we want them to do to us in an attempt that what is right and what is wrong is wrong. So for instance, in an issue of murder, for instance, golden rule sees murder as it is wrong and it is not right within the society to murder or to malign people, but did not consider the intention of doing such action. For instance, in a murder case, which is always considered as morally wrong in a society, even if it was done in self-defense or for protection. The moral absolutism is looking at it that it is still not right for us to malign people, and this is actually one of the most shortcomings of this view, because it sees things from a general perspective, not necessarily looking at the various implications that are, or the causes or the effects of such action that has led to to the committing to the involvement of an organization in a particular action, or the involvement of an individual in a particular action. Now, what are the various sources of ethical views? Of course, before we can say this is right or this is wrong, we must consider the source of the appropriateness of an action. How do we say an action is right? How do we say an action is not correct? So the various sources that has guided the view of people based on what is appropriate within an organization is not far-fetched from, number one, religion. Religion, of course, is one of the oldest foundation of ethical standards in the world. Like in Nigeria, for instance, most of our ethical views are guided by our Christianity vibe, our Christianity understanding and background, our Islamic background, and also maybe some other traditional views that has guided people from understanding what is right and what is wrong. For instance, in Islamic religion, it is ideal that an individual is not expected to consume alcohol. And in view of that, an Islamic organization will put this as part of their ethical perspective in an organization that is expected for every employee in that organization. So religion has been a part and parcel of what has guided our ethical view in an organization. Another thing is culture. Culture, of course, is a pattern of behavior and values that are transferred from one generation to another. For instance, in Nigeria, we have different culture. We have the Yoruba, we have the Hausa, we have the Igbo, various groups who actually portray different type of culture. So this culture also has an important role to play in what we believe is right and what we believe is wrong. An example of that is greetings, exchanging pleasantries from a young person to an older person. Culture has been able to ensure, to earmark what is right and what is wrong, has been able to show to us how it is appropriate to greet an elder, and how it is not appropriate to greet an elder, how it is appropriate to make profit, and how it is not appropriate to make profit. So culture has been a part and parcel of how ethical views are being molded. So another one is the law. Of course, the law is the procedure and code of conduct that are laid down by the legal system of the state, right? By the country, by the local government, by the state government, by the federal government, by the House of Representatives, by the House of Assembly. This is the law. For instance, the minimum wage legislation, which have been a part and parcel, these are the various laws that organization must follow, like the Company and Allied Matters Act, which guides the administration and management of an organization in Nigeria, is also a part of the legal view of our source of ethics, because it serves as a basis for which we can decide or determine what is right or what is wrong within an organization. What are the ethical and unethical business practice in an organization? When we say ethical and unethical business practice for an organization, it is ethical for organization to ensure that they develop an ethical standard. Ethical standard is expected to be formalized. It's expected to state down clearly as part of code of ethics for employees that this is the right manner to go and this is not the right manner to go. So an ethical business practice for an organization is to ensure firstly that we have an ethical standard that we can guide, that we can evaluate our activities against, because there's a particular saying that says, anywhere that there are no laws, then there are no sins. So one of the major factors that an organization must put in place in an attempt to ensure ethical practice is to develop their ethical standards. Furthermore, they must ensure some level of leadership commitment. Leaders in an organization must ensure that they lead by example as far as ethical practice are concerned. Ethical practice must be an overall management issue. It must not necessarily be restricted to certain persons within an organization. It must be a part and parcel of leadership. There must be some level of leadership commitment in terms of understanding that it is the responsibility from the top to the bottom of the organization to imbibe some level of normative view of ethics and ensure that all decisions, all activities from the various pyramid or the various level of organization are ethical in view. Furthermore, organization must ensure that they are diligent about enforcing policies. Policies or ethical views must be developed ethical views must also be enforced, because preparation or development of ethical standards in its own is not an end. So ensuring the enforcement becomes the end, while development is the means. So we must ensure that there's development. We must ensure that leadership is having serious commitment towards this ethical standard, and we must also ensure that we are diligent in the enforcement. Furthermore, we must praise positive behavior, and we must promote the community and stakeholder involvement. When we say promotion of positive behavior, when an employee or an organization, for instance, is following the ethical standard that has initially been set, it is ideal for organizations to ensure that the positive behavior are being praised in an attempt to further motivate and reinforce this positive behavior among organizations, which we believe is going to bring forth long-term benefits for the organization. Also, we must promote stakeholders and community involvement. When we say stakeholders and community involvement in an organization, we are referring to the various set of people who amount to the stakeholder of that organization. For instance, we are talking of the shareholders. We are talking of the customers. We are talking of the suppliers. We are talking of the government. There are various responsibilities of an organization to this set of people. Like, for instance, to the shareholder, it is the responsibility of management to ensure that their returns on investment are guaranteed. It is the responsibility of an organization to ensure that the customers are being served, with fair and appropriate pricing, and also qualitative product. It is the responsibility of an organization to ensure that the commitment to the suppliers are made in time and as promised. And also the competitors must also be fairly competitive in that environment, because we must not do our business in an attempt to harm our competitors. So in view of that, so there must be some level of stakeholder involvement before we can say a business is ethical in its business. They must ensure that the stakeholders are properly involved, and the stakeholders are being given value that has also been entrusted to the organization. So in view of this, when we look at our ethical our business ethics, we have been able to see the various views, who have seen that some ethics are traditional, while some are normative, while some are analytic. And we have been able to understand that there are four different views of ethics. While we see one as the utilitarian, who believe the greater good matters more, we see another one as justice, who believes that there must be some level of distributive justice, there must be some level of retributive justice and compensatory justice, and the combination of this to ensure that organizational members or organizational activities are guided by way of ensuring that all stakeholders within an organization are given fair treatment and are given the most appropriate and ethical treatment. Furthermore, we also look at rights, which looks at the promotion and the protection of the individual rights or human rights of people. We must respect and treat people with the highest respect and dignity required in the course of doing their job. And also we have seen the golden rule that looks at do what to people what you are expected to do to them. And we have seen the various sources of ethical views as religion, as culture, and also as the law. These are the three major sources of ethical views within an organization and within a society. We look at what has the religion taught us, what has our culture taught us, what has our history taught us, and what is the law saying about the administration of our business in line with maintaining stakeholder relationship. What has the law told us? How does the law ask us to treat our employee? How has the law asked us to treat our shareholders? How has the law provided social responsibility for the society where we exist? How has the law expected us in terms of consumerism to deal with our customers and our suppliers? So we must do this in line with the law, and this is the submissions of the law, and the various unethical and ethical practice of business has already also been established. So in view of this, we expect that students after this module are meant to understand what are the various ethical understanding and concepts, what are the various views of ethics, what are the various branches of ethics, what are the various sources of ethics, and also what are the various ethical and unethical business practices of a business organization. So thank you.